Welcome to the Early Wedge Tuesday Best Bet Show. I am your host, Eric Cohen. A great week, a great stretch of golf coming up, and we have so much to talk about. So let's bring in the stars of the show. We have some celebs on this cast. Yes, we do. Sia, I'll start with you. We have the host of the Early Edge every Monday. I mean, you're on Sirius XM Radio doing fantasy stuff. Yeah, DFS stuff. I mean, you're everywhere. That's number one. Then we have Patrick McDonald, who's all over CBS, golf writer from CBS Sports, who's everywhere. Then we have Jason Sobel, who's on Sirius XM, BetMGM. You're everywhere. I mean, I feel like an outcast compared to these other three. But let's start us off. I want to get you guys riled up at the start. So the trending thing, and I know you guys are all big on the social media. You have lots of followers. Patrick and Sobel, you guys do the funny golf tweeting and get all those people. So there's a video coming out at Oakmont, Patrick, of a guy, and I don't know who it is, dropping a ball in the rough where you can't see it. Can you explain to our audience if that's really bad rough or really bad camera work?
Here we are on the eve of the PGA Championship, and EC's got questions about the rough for the U.S. Open. Always multiple steps ahead of me, EC. I will give you that much. As for the video in question, it did come across my feed, mostly because people were making fun of it. The guy dropped the ball like 40 yards in front of the first tee box, a month ahead of the championship, mind you. So pay no mind.
Sobel, you with Patrick on that?
EC, I feel like you're going to struggle at Oakmont. A couple of top drives, and you're not going to be able to get that thing out of the rough. But the pros should be fine, though. Look, it's propaganda. We're looking for retweets out there. We're going to drop the ball the thickest rough we can find. Forget about the fact that no ball is ever going to be in that rough where it is. This happens a lot. I will also point out that at most venues, major championships, PGA Tour venues, the rough is always going to be thicker a month ahead of time than it is that week, because you can't cut, and then week of say, I'd like another 2 inches on top of that. You can't grow it instantly. What you do is you grow, and then cut it that week to the length you want. So what you see at Oakmont today from Media Day might not necessarily be what we see a month from now at the U.S. Open.
All right. With that said, Patrick and Sobel, I have to ask you this. As an 18 handicap, not proud of it, but it's true. Would I break 140 in those conditions?
No.
At Oakmont?
Not even close.
Really? At 140?
You count every shot. Like,
what's your handicap? 18?
Yeah.
18.
No.
18.
Yeah, I think you would.
No way.
140.
No way.
Okay. All right.
I played Oakmont 2 weeks before. What was the last Open there? 2016?
Something like
DJ
that.
won. I played it 2 weeks beforehand. We played the SWAT game at Oakmont, which is this classic old game that's going back 100 years. And they've got record books in the clubhouse on it. And you play a scratch game. So it's one gross ball in your fivesome, counts on every hole. My group, which included the A player, was a Division I college golfer. The B player was the senior club champion. C player was a D3 golfer. I was the D player at like an 8 handicap. And our E player was like a 10 handicap. Like, he wasn't a bad player at all. And there are 12 teams. You've got a $40 bet against the other 11 teams, as I remember it. And we had 3 birdies and a bogey as our scratch total score. And I'm walking up 18, talking to one of the guys saying, well, I think we're going to be paying out today. And they're like, nah, 2 under is really good. 2 under in a scratch game, 1 ball, is really good at Oakmont. You're not breaking 140, EC.
EC, I shot 76 there on my own ball. You're fine. With a triple.
What a show off.
Wait, yeah, from the tips?
Easy game out there.
All right, Sia, without knowing the specifics here, you heard Sobel, you heard Patrick. As an 18 handicap, usually I shoot low, mid-90s, let's say on average. Would I break 140? That's double what the pros should shoot.
I think you would not break 140. I think there would be a couple holes that were so problematic that you would just we'd be seeing enough quads for you to get to 145.
Sobel, we'll start with you on this on storylines. Get right to it. We have a 7,100 yard course. Would I break 125 there?
Yes, okay. No doubt. Cricket Club is very playable. I was there a few years ago. I wish I remembered more of it. other than the fact that we were tying our shoes on the tee box because we were given the wrong tee time and showed up like literally as we were supposed to go out. That said, it's a fantastic golf course. I think we're going to hear from the pros over the next 48 hours or so, 24, 36 hours that, you gotta play the right angles here. You got to be in the fairway, the green slope back to front, so you don't want to be above the hole. All these danger signs that we hear on a regular basis from new courses. It's 7,100 yards. It's been raining there. It's playing soft. These guys are going to eat it up. Course record 65, shot by Zach Blair a few years ago, and that could be in jeopardy by noon on Thursday, quite honestly.
Wow. How about that? Patrick, last week you hated. Didn't you hate the course? You said too easy, and then you were right. Scotty Scheffler blitzed the field. So you were kind of got some validation out of that. What's your storyline this week?
Some validation. Storyline this week, I'm kind of looking at these 1B contenders for next week. I think the 1A, it's those three guys, Rory, Scotty, and Bryson. And then you look at the 1B, you got Xander. I would love to see a good driving week out of him. Same with JT. That driver's been pretty poor despite the win at the Heritage. Ludwig's iron play, Collins putting in a short game. So I'm just curious if there's anything anyone can do this week to kind of sway me in their direction next week. And the name I have circled is Xander Schauffele. Seeing if he can put together a good driving performance, I think would go a long way for me backing him. I might bet on him this week and parlay it with next week. Take a page out of your bookies, see do something like that. But we'll see.
You hear this, Patrick McDonald doing parlays? I mean, I feel so good about this. Now, Sia, normally this is your spot where you would go, but I'm gonna jump you for this one. My storyline is who's the next top player to break a long PGA Tour winless streak. Now, we'll talk about it in our outrights, but I'll give you guys a few possibilities. We got top 20 players in the world golf rankings. Colin Morikawa, last won the Zozo Fall 23, has not won a tournament in the U.S. since 2021. Tommy Fleetwood, well documented, never won a PGA Tour event. Shane Lowry hasn't won an event since September 22, only one U.S. win in 2015. Justin Rose going back till February 2023 when he won Pebble Beach. Patrick Cantlay, who should be popular this week, hint, hint, August 2022. And Sung Jae Im. Do you realize his only PGA Tour win was the week before COVID? That's pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, to think about that. Now, he won, I believe.
Patrick's correcting.
So, yeah, no, you're right. His only regular season PGA Tour win. Yes, I have it. His only he won in October of 2021. Yes, I got you, Patrick. I got you.
That was technically the regular season, by the way. Back then.
Was it really?
Yeah.
In the spring or summer. Doesn't matter. 2021. It's been a long time. All right. That's all I have for the Philadelphia.
And the Woori Financial Group Championship on the Korean Tour.
That doesn't count.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Sia, we're all talking Philadelphia. Your head's in a different place.
So it's no secret because we put our picks out there. I haven't been very good. I hit the Justin Thomas outright a couple of weeks back, but since then my picks haven't been very good. Last week in particular, quite bad. And so I'm actually happy that we have the Truist Championship, but I got to be honest. I'm even more happy that we have the alt event, Myrtle Beach, because that's where I love. And Jason's laughing because we were laughing all the way to the bank last time we had Puerto Rico, right? With Carl Phillips at 70-1. So I just want to put it out there. We're going to talk a lot of Truist Championship here, but I plan to have a lot of picks on this show and maybe later in the SportsLine Discord channel, the golf Discord chat, in terms of like first round leaders and some stuff that I haven't finalized. But I'm very excited about both events is just really what I'm putting out there. We got the no cut signature event and we got the alt event full field. Very excited about both.
Sia, this is where all of us are expecting you guys to clean up, as you talked about Phillips earlier in the season. So I'm staying away from that later on. I'm going to leave it to the big boys to actually make picks. We'll see if Patrick McDonald's going to make the trip to Myrtle Beach. We'll find that out later in the program. You're spoiling it? Okay, fair enough.
Absolutely
not. We'll talk about that later on. All right, let's get on to FRLs. Sobel and Sia, you have a few, and you both kind of agree on the first player. Sobel, I'll let you start it out. Really, we're going to go Jordan Spieth after his great weekend?
I tell you what, guys, I like Jordan Spieth in a lot of different markets right now for a lot of different places. That includes this week, and it might include next week, maybe not to the extent where I think he's going to win next week. But whenever Jordan whenever we're trying to rate Jordan's play, we can look at the stats. We can watch him ourselves. You have to listen to Jordan because he's the anti-Victor Hovland. You talk to Victor Hovland, he goes, I'm terrible. I can't hit it anywhere. My swing is awful. And you go, well, you just shot 65. He's like, yeah, I guess. I got lucky. Jordan will tell you the honest truth. And if you listen to Jordan after his final round 62 at the CJ Cup Byron Nelson a couple days ago, Jordan sounded more optimistic about his own game than he has in a very long time. I like targeting guys for first-round leader plays who have some volatility in their games, who can get hot with a flat stick. We know that Jordan Spieth can do that. Didn't really do it until Sunday last week, but I like the 33-1 number. And then Denny McCarthy is the epitome of a guy who can get hot with his flat stick, plays well on Northeast-type courses. And I'm, by the way, just for the sake of getting it all out of the way right now, I'm going to include from Ohio down through Maryland and all the way up through Boston. Like, it's all Northeast. It might not be technically in the Northeast, but they're all Northeast-style golf courses. And so McCarthy, being a Maryland guy, plays these well. A shorter course plays into his hands. I can see him going mid-60s, maybe even lower on Thursday.
Sobel, a good question in the chat from Jeff. Are you buying into Spieth completing his own Grand Slam next week?
I'm not selling right now. I don't know if I'm fully there. This, for me, more so than any other player. Patrick was talking about wanting to see something from Xander Schauffele this week, and I don't disagree with that. I want to see something from Jordan Spieth. I'm more interested in Jordan Spieth this week than maybe any other player. If Rory doesn't play well this week, I know what Rory can do at a major. I'm not too worried about it. There are other players I understand where their games are at. I want to see what Jordan Spieth has this week. If he finishes top 5, it's like, yeah, all systems go. He can win at Quail Hollow. If he goes to reverse a little bit, finishes in 43rd place in a 72-man field, I'm probably going to have less interest next week than I would right now.
Fair enough. Now, Sia, usually on this sheet, we see like 4+ names from you. You're only going with 2 this week. Why?
There is a reason for that. I'm glad you asked because I would have forgotten to mention. I have right now, I'm literally looking at 6 names for first-round leaders for Myrtle Beach, and I like that market a lot better. I'm not going to put out 6 names, which is why I don't have first-round leaders for this show. I have outrights for Myrtle on this show, but I'm probably going to have 4, maybe 5, but probably 4. So honestly, I'm just more interested from a betting standpoint in the outright market and first-round leader market there. So I just wanted to be a little tentative here, and I'm just going to go with 2. Normally, to your point, I have 4 or 5 here. I really like Spieth for all the reasons Jason said, and for the fact that we don't exactly know what this course, has to offer, right? I mean, we can speculate. I've heard some people who have played this course, and we'll talk about that later in terms of what they think this course calls for, outside of Jason, of course. If you're looking at like some sort of technician, somebody who's creative or somebody who's going to probably try to have it figured out day one, I do think Jordan Spieth is that guy. I love what he's doing. First of all, I think carry distance and off the tee stuff, driving distance is important. He's added some length to his drive, his driver. So I think he is going to be able to put himself out there a little bit better, get himself in position on some of these scoreable holes. But more importantly, the metrics and the finishing positions look good. I mean, he's been a top 20 machine. I mean, Patrick McDonald was on this way before we were on it, but I think now is the time where Jordan Spieth is finally shaking off the injury, shaking off whatever was plaguing his game. I think he absolutely is live to win this thing, but I like him first-round leader as well. And then I'll go Hovland because Hovland's one of those guys that can just go off any given moment. 33-1, I think, is a fair number.
All right, fair enough. We watch the early edge tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, and see we'll have some more dimes for you to add to this great list. If you like what you're hearing and you're watching us on the YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe to the SportsLine channel and like this video. The more engagement we get, the better. Coming up next, we're going to talk a lot of Wyndham Clark. Who would have thought? But first, let's hear from one of our sponsors.
The crowd loves champions. Gladiator 2 is an epic spectacle. To amuse you is my only wish.
The glory is yours, not mine.
Very good. Gladiator 2, rated R, now streaming on Paramount+.
In all the times that I've been on Early Wedge, I cannot remember a 3-pack of the same player in the same segment. I don't believe until Wyndham Clark. And I didn't get the memo to include Wyndham Clark in my picks. So let's find out what we have in the matchups. And I want everybody to talk about Wyndham Clark, and then, we'll go around round 2 for your other plays. So, but why do you like him over Bob McIntyre?
Okay, a couple of reasons. First of all, I am targeting players who are long hitters, but tend to play better on short golf courses. It's a really weird sort of trend, but we've got a bunch of these guys. Wyndham Clark, we saw him win at Pebble Beach last year. Granted, it was a shortened tournament. He's played some of his better golf on shorter golf courses, even though he's a bigger hitter. Tony Finau has traditionally done this throughout his career. And again, maybe it's that driver's more of an advantage, maybe taking driver out of his hands, some kind of combination of that. Gary Woodland's been like this throughout his career. I'm not targeting Gary Woodland this week because he just took 2 weeks off, and I don't know exactly what his physical condition is right now. But Wyndham Clark's a guy that I like, first of all, on this type of golf course. Secondly, I hosted Gravy in the Sleeves with my buddy Drew Stoltz on PGA Tour Radio earlier today. He's good friends with Wyndham Clark, said they had I forget what it's called. It's essentially the Greenskeeper Revenge Tournament at Whisper Rock this past weekend, where they make the course as hard as possibly can be. Wyndham Clark went out there and shot a 67 to win it. He is on his game right now. Drew said 67 on that kind of day is like a 61 anywhere else any other time.
I'm trying to get on Whisper Rock Sobel. I know my 18 handicap probably is not welcome. I do have a contact there. I'll tell you off air. It's
Fun
so
place.
So far, not so good. I'm jealous that you played there. All right, Patrick. Sobel just laid out Wyndham Clark shooting well at Whisper Rock, which is a very prestigious course out here in Scottsdale. You're not buying it. You're going with Bobby Mack.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can shoot 67 at your home course, you got to consider it. But I kind of just think Wyndham Clark.
Greenskeeper Revenge, Patrick. Not just a normal day.
Or is that a scramble for him with your buddy? No, I just think Wyndham Clark's not playing very good golf right now. And my sources have said that he's searching for it a little bit. So I'll take Bobby Mack over him, who I know has gone on a little bit of a skid here since that miscut at the Masters. But before that was playing great. We want to talk about geography, Northeast golf courses. What's north of the United States? Canada. Who won in Canada? Robert McIntyre. Boom. And then after that, we're going to go Siwoo Kim, minus 115 over Tony Finau. Finau, not playing great golf either. Siwoo's kind of been a tee to green merchant. I like that at a golf course. You don't really know exactly what you're going to get. Obviously, Finau has the advantage off the tee in terms of driving distance, but I think Siwoo can kind of ease into a T13 finish, and I think that's going to be good enough.
You're already predicting it down right to the position. We love that. All right, Sia, just give me your round one pick here. Just give me your round one pick.
I like Victor Hovland. I like how he's playing. I do think he's going to be a pretty good course fit here. I do worry about some of the bunkering and some of the short game that might come into play. But when I look at the putting, when I look at the approach play, the off the tee play has been just a little kind of off and on lately. Again, looking at Wyndham Clark and how he's playing, like obviously I take what Jason said, seriously, because he might be in form. And I do think he's a good course fit considering what I'm looking for. But I just think Victor's playing too well. And I'm looking at his metrics right now. He's gained on approach in 7 tournaments in a row. And he's gained pretty significantly with the putter in 3 tournaments in a row. Off the tee, again, a little up and down. But I think for round one, Victor Hovland just is presenting in such better form than Wyndham Clark right now that I'm willing to pay the minus 130.
All right, let's go back to a guy that just won last month, Sobel, in Minwoo Lee. And Sam Burns hasn't done a heck of a lot lately, but you're feeling that maybe this is the turnaround for Slam and Sammy.
Sam Burns is starting to come around to top 5 last week of the Nelson. I'm sort of looking at guys, especially at a course where we haven't seen it before, a lot of variables. I'm looking for big numbers on guys who, if we had played this tournament 3 months ago, you go, wow, what's that number all about? Burns and Wyndham Clark and Tony Finau, I'm going to talk about later in the show, have not played their best golf so far this year, but they are still world-class players, elite-level players. I'm looking to pick them up wherever I can and wherever I see value. Minwoo Lee tends to play his best golf on courses where driver can be a weapon. I'm not sure that this one is it, and so I'm going to fade him against Burns.
Okay, I like it. Sia, you and I, synergy. I feel smarter when I look at the rundown and I see top Canadian, our favorite bet to make in this segment, Corey Connors. Do tell.
Plus 120. I mean, I've been riding this with you. You've been taking it a little bit more than I have, but I'm on. We've got Taylor Pendrith to deal with, who I do think could play well, but I expect Corey Connors to be way more steady over 4 rounds. And we've got Nick Taylor, who just hasn't been playing well lately, but I think is, okay. I think he's in the conversation. Then we got Adam Hadwin, who I don't think is going to be very good here. So to me, this is this is definitely like at least a 3-man race in my opinion. But Corey Connors has been so steady. He's been so good. When this course presented itself and we knew who was going to be in the signature field, Corey Connors was somebody I was considering potentially as an outright. Now, I'm not going to get there. We'll see that later on in the show. But I think Corey Connors is just playing too well. There have been some issues lately with Corey Connors. But again, against those other 3 at plus 120, I think that's fair value. I'll take Corey.
I mean, I'm just taking Corey just because, as you mentioned, you're only going up against 3 and we're getting the plus money. Now, I understand that Connors was not great at the RBC Heritage. I tried to continue this winning every week. That did not go so well. But against limited competition, Pendrith really let me down, defending his title last week at the Byron Nelson. So I'm out on him. And then how about top Englishman, Tommy Ladd? Now, he's also going up against a small group here. There's not much of Englishmen, but I hate to admit this because it goes against everything that I stand for.
Say it.
I actually kind of like Tommy Fleetwood this week. He's not going to win. He's not going to win. How we know this, but he's going to contend because you know what Tommy Fleetwood does, and Sobel can attest to this. He picked him earlier this season, and he contends. He gives you a cheap thrill, and then he falls off. He's not going to win. What are you giving me that look for, Sia?
Well, I mean, he doesn't really give you a cheap thrill because to the extent, I mean, there are exceptions to this, but to the extent he's good through Saturday, he like doubles the first couple holes on Sunday and he's like out of it immediately. So he's not even there down the stretch anymore.
All he has to do is
clarify. I would like to clarify. I picked him once and I got no cheap thrills from it whatsoever.
That's fair. I actually already used him in one and done. I think it was at the Valspar, something like that, and I didn't get a cheap thrill either. But we're going to hope that this week on a golf course that nobody knows about, I'm going to get that cheap thrill. All he has to do is beat Aaron Rai, Justin Rose, and Matt Fitzpatrick. And plus 140, I think we're getting fair odds. I'll talk more Tommy Fleetwood later in the program. Now to my favorite part of, we'll talk. I will. You'll see. You'll see what I do here. One of my favorite things, because I bet these every week, and that's finishing positions. I pay attention to what these 3 have to say, and then I put together my parlays. That's what I do. All right, Patrick, you got one for us, and it's at a big number. Let's hear.
Yeah, I went with 2-time PGA Tour winner Austin Eckroat to finish inside the top 20 at plus 360. Recent form, not fantastic, hence the price. But a very accurate driver of the golf ball, a very good iron player. That has not subsided. Putter's picking up a little bit slowly but surely. So I think top 20 is doable. He was T32 in the last signature event, so not too far off. And I think he gets it done on a golf course people haven't seen yet.
Okay. I like the logic. Sobel, you have a top 10 and a top 20, and I really, really like your top 10.
I'm going to give a little shout here to Daniel Berger because I think we've all collectively talked about Daniel Berger being good so far this year, but how good has he been since the beginning of February? He has made 7 starts on the PGA Tour. At the Players Championship, he lost a little bit to the field off the tee. At the RBC Heritage, he lost just barely to the field on the greens. Other than that, he is 26 for his last 28 in those 4 major categories off the tee, with the irons, around the greens, and on the greens. Scotty Scheffler can't say that. Rory McIlroy can't say that. My guess is nobody else can say that. I would have to click on every single player's page on Data Golf and go through everything, and I'm not doing all that. But I think Daniel Berger is the only one who has consistently put up those kind of numbers for a long time now, for 3 months. And I think Daniel Berger is he's going to win at some point soon. Northeast is a good spot for him. He used to travel from South Florida up to Rhode Island and practice every summer and work on his game, so he's familiar with playing on bent grass. I might like him a little bit more next month at TBC River Highlands than I do here. I might like him at Oakmont, but I do like him a lot this week. And then Maverick McNeely, sort of the same thing as Berger, a little underappreciated, but the ceiling has been higher. The ceiling's been higher. The floor has been lower. When he's playing well, he plays really well. 3 top 3 finishes already this year for McNeely. All I need is a top 20 this week, but I wouldn't be surprised if he contends at this one as well.
Okay. Now you'll get more than a cheap thrill from Maverick McNeely if Sobel is right about that. Sia, you've talked about Spieth, top 20. You're playing that conservatively. A guy that we have not talked about yet, though, Patrick Cantlay. I have a feeling he'll come up a little bit later.
He's definitely going to come up. He's probably going to come up in the one and done conversation too. And for good reason. Like I'm not willing to come around on Patrick Cantlay to win the tournament, but I honestly have no issue with anybody who wants to take him. For me, the stats are really measuring up in terms of the ball striking. The putter's been an issue. Now he's on bent grass Northeast where he tends to play well. Like I get the outright argument, but I'm just really comfortable with him like being in the conversation, but kind of wilting relative to some of these other guys that are his caliber. So plus 160, Patrick Cantlay, top 10. That's how I've decided to play him. I might not even play him in DFS because I suspect his ownership might be a little high. We'll see. That's for the live chat tomorrow at 10:30. But this is the only way this is where I'm playing Patrick Cantlay in the top 10 market.
Yeah, and your Spieth pick kind of low. I'm surprised you didn't top 10 him.
Yeah, I just thought the minus 110 was a decent enough number. This, of course, is including ties for me to do the top 20. If you want to do the top 10, like if somebody out there is like, I'm not interested with a minus number in front of it, that's fine. That kind of burned me last week a little bit because I had Valimaki top 30 at plus 210. And I said on the show, you can get it top 40 at even money. And I tend to play those conservatively relative to pretty much everyone else in the industry, including you three. The top 40 would have come in, the top 30 didn't. So I'm just going to play Spieth a little conservatively because I think he could have an erratic round here and there, but I do think he's playing so well that the top 20 feels very comfortable for me for him.
Remember, when you bet these, always play them with ties. You don't want your bet size to be reduced. I've always said that. I'm going with Denny McCarthy, top 20 plus 140. Played 11 tournaments this year, has top 20s in 6 of them. One of the best putters on tour. He's gained with the putter against the field in 8 of 11 tournaments this year. Now, he has lost strokes in 3 straight events on approach, but he was dialed in before that. So can he revert back to form and putt well on these greens? Yeah, I'll play it at plus 140 for a top 20. And then how about Eric Cole? Finished in the top 20 in 4 of his last 5 solo events, including a season best top 5 last week at TPC Craig Ranch. Been outstanding on approach with the putter of late. Gained 5.5 shots with his irons and 3.8 with his putter in Texas. We're getting a nice number at plus 240 here, so no argument there. Now, just kind of looking at the chat here, David Talk likes Russell Henley, top 10, top 20. Henley's had a great year. Patrick, you're waving your fist in encouragement of that, so you good with that?
Love Russell Henley. I don't even care where we're playing.
There you go. Can I add that to a Patrick favorite that I always like to say?
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
He's definitely a favorite.
Eric Fletcher likes Daniel Berger, top 10, Eric Cole, top 20. Sounds like a parlay to me. And he also says Keegan loves the Northeast, which is also true. Isn't he
grew up just around the corner.
Cameron Young grew up on the mean streets of New York, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
Is Cam Young even in this event?
He is.
Actually,
check it out.
He is. He's been so irrelevant that normally we'd see him in like the top half of the odds. I couldn't even tell you where he is. So irrelevant. It's a shame, but that's why he's on the auto fade list. Speaking of the auto fade list, coming up next, we're going to talk about that because it may be in question this week, according to some, after we hear from one of our sponsors.
Get ready.
Wait a second. I thought we were going tubing.
All 3 Sonic the Hedgehog movies and Knuckles are now streaming on Paramount Plus.
And everyone loves it.
Every adventure,
Just try to keep up.
every face-off,
This ends now.
and every moment that will have you saying,
Where have you been? My entire life!
It's showtime.
all 3 Sonic the Hedgehog movies and the entire Sonic universe are now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Let the record show that this is the 11th best bet show for early wedge. And the no bet list, or the auto fade list, as I like to say, only has 1 line through it. So not bad thus far. A lot better than I did in 2024. Sia is in agreement of that.
Yeah.
But Sia, this week I may have some trouble, no?
Well, I mean, a lot of people think Patrick Cantlay is going to play well, and certainly that's a really good argument. I mean, can I just say about Patrick Cantlay, like I didn't even consider him on the front end, like the pre-research end. And then I started kind of to dig deep and I'm like, geez, this really lines up. Like Cantlay is really coming into good form. This is such a good spot for him. If there's another cross off on this list, I mean, Xander, you said under plus 1,000.
Yeah, I'm good. So I'm good there.
It's Patrick or nobody, obviously, because we know Tommy Ladd's not winning this thing.
All right, well, I want to talk about that. So let's get to our outrights, and I don't want to spoil anything in advance, but all right, let's get to it. Sobel, I'm going to have you go second because Patrick is going with the single bullet theory this week. Really? Patrick Cantlay is your only pick for an outright?
You know, I love guys who really embody the city that they're playing in. You think about Cantlay, where he's won. Baltimore, Atlanta, Philadelphia would fit right in. Just absolutely perfect. A thug on this golf course, a thug on the greens, just going to beat everyone up. So tee to green, he's been great. Ball striking wise, he's been great. And he's played well in this part of the country. So didn't want to overthink it. And 20-1, that's the only bet I made in this part of the show. I have a couple.
He has not won in
Wilmington.
2.5 years. Two and a half years. So I would think, all right. Patrick's just going a little out on a limb there with Cantlay. And then I see Sobel. You're agreeing with him. What?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm agreeing with him or if he's agreeing with me, but we agree with each other on the Sunday early wedge show. Sia asked us who we like for the Truist this week, and we were both like Cantlay, like right away, our first play. And apparently we're not alone on that island either. We've got a lot of company there. Look, we talked all about Justin Thomas. Hadn't won for 3 years, and he won a few weeks ago. Jordan Spieth hasn't won in 3 years. We talk about that all the time. I feel like Colin Morikawa not winning for a year and a half gets more attention than Patrick Cantlay not winning for nearly 3 years now. But streaks are meant to be broken. If we've seen anything over the last couple of months, it's that all of a sudden, guys, they just come around. Whether it's Russell Henley winning a signature event, or Justin Thomas winning, Victor Hovland not having his best stuff, and we're wondering about him, and then he goes and wins. It just feels like whether it's the deli counter analogy or the turnstile, but at some point, if you're an elite level player, you're going to get in the winner's circle. And I do like Cantlay again. If we extend the comparison of Northeast course, I get that Ohio isn't really Northeast, and I get that Maryland isn't quite Northeast, but if we include those as Northeast style golf courses, he's won 4 of his 7 individual PGA Tour titles on Northeast style courses. I like him. Speaking of the area in the Northeast, Jordan Spieth has a lot of connections to Philadelphia. Already talked about his game. We know where his game is at. We know that we like him trending in the right direction. But if we want to look at the motivational factor, his parents met at Lehigh, not too far away from Philadelphia. They got married there. He's got grandparents that live just outside of Philadelphia. He's going to have a lot of family, a lot of relatives there this week. This one's going to mean something to him. Maybe not as much as the Nelson last week where he grew up going to that golf tournament, but you don't get to play in Philly very often. Who knows how much longer his grandparents and other relatives are going to be able to go out and watch him play golf, especially in their hometown. I think this one's going to be a little extra special for Jordan Spieth.
Okay. And Sia's in agreement with you as well on Jordan Spieth.
I totally am. Again, I'm not a Spieth guy. I don't know that I've taken him outright this entire year, but I can't ignore what I'm seeing. And I just love that we might be seeing like the Jordan Spieth of old. Again, I'm not sure about that, but it's certainly trending that direction. So I think the number at 28-1 is totally fair. And again, I like Jordan Spieth on a course that's new to everybody. I would have Jordan Spieth sort of at the top of that list in terms of a guy that can diagnose what to do and what not to do. Ludwig, I have it plus 1,800 because of, a guy that can turn it on. We haven't seen him play well lately. We know he won the Genesis, so it's not like this guy can come out and just smash it with the ball striking and the putter. We know that to be true. It happened recently, and I think he's a great course fit. If you're gonna require distance and a little bit of accuracy, I think Ludwig is such a great call here. Plus 1,800. I'm not in love with the number, but anyway, I like him. I like Spieth. I already talked about Hovland. He's a winner this year as well. And as long as he doesn't get caught up with the short game, I think Victor Hovland is live to win. I think he's a great course fit. And by the way, just so everybody knows, these are 3 relatively short numbers. I have 0.7 units on this to return 8x, so to return 8 times the money. So it's very easy to kind of figure out the math. There's a little bit extra on Ludwig, and then Spieth and Hovland, I basically put the same amount on. So just so everybody knows, I'm not even betting a full unit on this thing.
Hate that ratio, Sia. Hate it.
I know. No, that's the thing. No, listen, that's the thing. I
not a fan here.
I want to have the Carl Phillips
not
where it's like crazy. But in this, that's why in signature fields, I don't enjoy the outright market as much as I do Myrtle. We'll see my outrights there, which are a lot longer than this. But I don't enjoy the 8x. I'd rather it be 15 or 20 or at least 12x. But in this particular case, just so everybody knows, it's 8x.
Sia, I have some news for you before you go and do the show tomorrow morning, Early Edge, and of course the live chat show. There is tennis being played in Rome that you could then parlay with your outrights and increase the value, so Patrick would be happier. I can tell
you
you
got a French Open pick. Isn't that coming up soon?
I'll give that to you in a few weeks. We're at the ATP and WTA Rome right now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
EC, I'm way ahead of you because. Oh, sorry, Patrick. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just going to talk geography.
I'm going to parlay Jordan Spieth at plus 2,800 with one of my Myrtle picks. So no worries. This Ludwig number, the Spieth number, maybe Hovland as well, will skyrocket.
Hey,
I'm
9x.
Spieth and Cantlay with all the Myrtle picks, absolutely. But it's Wednesday night scratch-off tickets.
Let's go.
Every Wednesday. Come on.
Go.
I will say that the tennis market has failed me thus far, and so did the New York Yankees last night, who I tried to parlay with Colin Morikawa, even at 14-1. Now, I know he hasn't won in a while. Can you believe the Yankees blew a 3-0 lead last night? That was horrible.
That was one of our early edge picks was the Yankees. Instead of going 4-2-1, we were 3-3-1 because the Yankees blew a 3-0 lead.
I had a 5-pick with Colin Morikawa, and the other 3 legs hit, and the Yankees blew a 3-0 lead. It was brutal. Anyways, it's the Joe Griner effect. I mean, he won with Justin Thomas last time out. He's going to fix Colin Morikawa. Simple as that. Accuracy is key for me here, off the tee and on approach, and Colin Morikawa fits the bill. Now, I don't love the number for a guy that hasn't won in a while, but in 7 events this season, he's gained about 30 strokes on approach, and that's something that I like to see. Now, we haven't talked about Rory McIlroy. The number's too short. He very well may win, but I'm going to try to play away from him, Xander, Ludwig, Morikawa, JT. So if Tommy Fleetwood finishes 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th behind these players, he doesn't get an X through his name on the no bet list, and I cash my 18-1 ticket. This feels like another contend but don't win week. He had a nice outing at the RBC Heritage, 7th, gaining strokes in all categories, so it feels like his game is coming around, and he has gained off the tee and on approach in 8 of 9 worldwide events this season. So, yeah, I'm going to trust that game at that number. Now, Daniel Berger upset me earlier. I'm with Sobel on this one, though. He cost me a lot at the Cognizant Classic. I'm still bitter. It was not no bet worthy. I will not forget it, though, so he has to make it up to me in this without market. Sobel, you wrote about it in your BetMGM article. You talked about it as well here on the show. His all-around game has been excellent. He's gained strokes tee to green in all tournaments this year, except including a season-best 8.7 at the RBC Heritage. So 25-1 without those top 5 players, yeah, I can get on board with that. Since Patrick is not going to the Myrtle Beach Classic, he refuses to make picks for it. But fortunately, Sia and Sobel are. No, well, they're not going, but they have picks for it. Sobel, you have 2 to start us off. Let's hear it.
I'm taking with guys who have won around the world before, guys who've won on the DP World Tour multiple times. Going to start with Ryan Fox, who absolutely smashes it. As we saw last year, at least from the top of the leaderboard, you can smash it all over this place and not worry too much about where it goes and then go find it again and hit it. Ryan Fox was top 5 in that one. Like where his game's trending, I'm going to take him at 40-1. And then I kept waiting for Victor Perez to have a spike round last week. The ball striking numbers were fantastic for the first 3 days. And then instead of the putting coming around, the wedge game coming around, he just lost everything on Sunday and didn't play that well. That said, he is playing well. He's a world-class player at 50-1, which you don't get in these opposite field events too often. A few other names. I didn't want to go too deep. Still on Alejandro Tosti a little bit. Watch out for Blades Brown at 100-1. The kid, that's like the only thing that could happen in Myrtle Beach that would take away a little bit from the Truist. Mateo Manacero, not sure it's a great course, but I love the number. And by the way, spoke with Chris Goddard, the defending champion. He's been all or nothing a little bit this year. He's got a whole bunch of top 25s and a whole bunch of missed cuts. I don't hate him trying to go back-to-back this week.
Pays to watch live or listen when Sobel. You can't see the graphic. Some of those names not on the graphic, but he gave you some extra tips. And the Goddard up one, that's a good note to have. See, you're going with a 4-pack, and yes, I can pronounce Thorbjorn Olesen. Kind of a mistake, but it's better than last week where I tried some names that did not go well. So Thorbjorn is 28-1. Why are you playing him this week?
Yes, how can we forget Frankie Sapan, the third, of course. Let's see. Thorbjorn Olesen. So I like the Goddard call, by the way. I think his odds for me were a little too short, which is funny for me to say since Olesen is about the same odds at plus 2,800. But I was trying to box check here. I was looking for the Chris Goddard profile to some degree, where you can have monster distance, not be particularly good on approach necessarily, and get hot with the putter. Thorbjorn Olesen actually checks a lot of boxes, which is why his number is so short in terms of just being a good ball striker as of late and potentially getting hot with the putter. Kevin Yu, another one of those guys that typically can't putt, but he was fourth here last year at Myrtle Beach, and the ball striking has been insane, and the putter hasn't been bad as of late either. These are kind of shorter odds than I want at an event like this, but 33-1. I actually put this out on the early edge as well. I never put out outrights on the early edge, but it was kind of a marketing ploy for this show as well, but I threw that out this morning. Ricky Castillo, a heavy hitter, can get hot with the putter at 45-1. And Vince Whaley is really interesting. Like, he's 50-1. About 2 years ago, I was telling people, watch out for on this show, maybe, watch out for Vince Whaley. And it never happened. The last few tournaments, though, the Vince Whaley that I thought I was going to see 2 years ago, and again, small sample size, but let's keep in mind the tournament that we're at here in Myrtle Beach. He's really started to play well, and I think he might have found something. So I think Vince Whaley at 50-1 is very, very interesting.
Okay.
I like Ricky Castillo a lot. I like his game. I think he would get beat up in a fight by Akshay Bhatia.
Skinny.
That kid weighs like 94 pounds.
Yeah. Him, Joaquin Neiman, and Akshay Bhatia like collectively weigh like 201.
And yet they can hit it 3 times as far as I can off the tee.
That's right.
Funny how life happens that way. Patrick, in this Myrtle Beach Classic, I'm really shocked you aren't going out there because your boy Grayson Sigg, 80-1.
Davis Riley's in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick,
Tom Kim.
Are any of those 3 guys, Riley, Kim, or Grayson Sigg, at their odds? Would you play him?
Riley's 60-1. He was like 70-75. He's dropped to 60. That was going to be one of my outrights, by the way.
I did put a bet on him on Monday. About 0.9 units to return. I don't know what that is. About 60 units. Yeah. Of those, I will say I love the Vince Whaley play. I love it. So,
nice.
Yeah, that's my favorite of the bunch.
Let's go.
Riley, though, will finish T5.
Okay. Yeah. He's going to give you the Tommy Fleetwood cheap thrill school is Davis Riley.
A couple short misses on the back 9 on Sunday.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. All right. There we have it. Let's move on to long shots. We're going to give out some all over the board here. Sobel, we're going to start with you here with your boy Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, I've talked about Wyndham Clark. Look, just a big number for a guy that's shown a lot of upside. We know he can win in big boy fields. He's won major championships. He's won signature events. He's won other big events. So I like just playing him at this number and trying to catch the upside. As I wrote in my piece this week at BetMGM, this doesn't mean that I'm picking Wyndham Clark to win. What it means is that I think his actual probability is higher than the implied probability of the odds. And so I think that's what we're looking for in value. And I think he has value in the outright markets. I'm not playing for a top 5 or a top 10 because I do think there's a lower floor, but that ceiling is certainly there. And I feel the same way about Tony Finau. I don't know where Finau's game is right now, but at some point you see that a number that big next to his name. And again, I'm looking for big hitters who play well on shorter golf courses. The 2 of those guys check those boxes. Tony Finau is going to come around at some point. Do I really think it's this week? Not really, but I'll take a little nibble at 80-1 this week.
80-1. I respect it. Patrick's taking a nibble of a couple players at 66-1, including the red hot Andrew Novak.
Yeah, this number didn't make a lot of sense to me. Won his last start. I know it was a team event, whatever. Okay, 8 feet away from winning the RBC Heritage. Almost won the Texas Open too. Those are his last 3 starts, and we're coming to a golf course no one knows. I'm going to play a guy who's playing some really good all-around golf. Pretty simple. And we're getting at 66-1. I think maybe a little disrespectful. And then Siwoo Kim, people forget, 54-hole leader there at the RBC Heritage, kind of exploded on Sunday. But been playing some good golf all around. T15 last week with 4 rounds next to Jordan Spieth. That's difficult to do in that circus. So good iron play. And you just got to hope the putter comes around because it's been pretty bad outside of Hilton Head.
Speaking of all or nothing players, that's been Siwoo Kim lately. But hey, might as well throw darts at an event like this where we don't have any course history. Sia, you're throwing a bunch of darts at Myrtle Beach. No wonder you were so excited earlier in the show for Myrtle.
Yeah, that's a total of 6 outrights, including these 2 long shots. I mean, Danny Walker's been playing well. I was actually on him like 6 weeks ago. I think it was at Puerto Rico, actually. He played okay. Jeremy Paul, the stats aren't really measuring up for Jeremy Paul. Also a heavy hitter, just like Danny Walker, by the way. Distance off the tee, I think is going to be important here. But while the Jeremy Paul metrics don't really measure up, like he's been in the conversation in some of these main PGA Tour events on not on Sunday, by the way, but like, Friday, Saturday, he like, this guy's like, picking it up a little bit. So I think this is clearly a too fast, too furious Paul Walker situation here we have with Danny Walker and Jeremy Paul. But I think these numbers, like this is like the sweet spot for a tournament like this, where somebody like this can absolutely sneak up and grab a win. When you got Mackenzie Hughes at the top, no offense to him, but like one of these guys can win this tournament.
Go ahead, Sobel.
Great.
I said earlier, the only way that Myrtle Beach could knock the Truist off the made headlines for golf on Sunday is if Blades Brown, the 17-year-old, goes out and win. I take it back. If Jeremy Paul and his twin Yannick, who's playing in the, I think it's the Turkish Airlines Open, whatever it is over on the DP World Tour, if they both win, and I've got a little Yannick already, that will be a parlay. That will be a little Paul twins parlay this week as well to see if we can get that across the finish line. That would take away from the Truist just a little bit, just pulling the headlines away.
I'm doing that. That's a great idea. Turkish Airlines. We'll do that parlay. Shout out to the Outlaw Tour, because when there was no sports and there was no golf, the Outlaw Tour was kind of the first in Arizona, your home state, EC, and that's when we met Yannick Paul. That's when we met Jeremy Paul. There were so many others. KK Limba suit. Like there were so many like other like random names to us that were out there that we were betting on. JJ Spawn joined one of those Outlaw Tour events. Anyway, long story short, big fan of these Paul bros.
So I'm doing this is a gem of a parlay. I'm combining the Truist and Myrtle Beach into a top 10 parlay. Colin Morikawa, I talked about, I think he can win. Xander Schauffele, who is going to be one of the players that I like next week at the PGA Championship. Obviously, course history at Quail Hollow. Patrick and Jason will be there, so we'll get their expertise on site. Thorbjorn Olesen, I can't say that one time. I have to stumble it the first time. I like him in the top 10 in Myrtle Beach. And then how about Sami Välimäki, who at these alternate events shows up. He's been playing some pretty good golf lately. Top 10. Now, you bet half a unit. You know what? I'm going to bet a tenth of a unit to win 8 units. Because Sia said 8 units. It sounds good to me. A tenth of a unit on this at plus 84.53. Morikawa, Schauffele, Olesen, and Välimäki, top 10. This is a parlay that we all should invest in, along with that Paul parlay. I kind of like that too. All right, let's see what we have in one and done. It's really an ugly screen for some of us. Yeah, tied for 669th. But Sia Nejad, 9.6 million, 7th place. He's not quite at smooth bid 1430, but he's way ahead of Rick, Jason, Mike, Patrick, and myself also. Just want to point that out. It's not pretty. So what do we have this week? Sia, I will let you start us off.
It was between Jordan Spieth and Patrick Cantlay. And honestly, I was so close to clicking the Patrick Cantlay button, but when I get one of those feelings like, hey, this guy is really coming on, I'm just going to go with Spieth. I think the new course narrative kind of played in it as well, but I really fear Patrick Cantlay is going to do better than Jordan Spieth, which is not good for this particular one and done pick. But the feeling was there with Jordan Spieth. It was between the two. I went with Jordan.
Jason, Patrick Cantlay, huh?
Yeah, look, I won't be disappointed if Sia goes way up on the rest of the crew with a win having Jordan Spieth this week, because that would be helpful as well. But yeah, I'm going with Cantlay. I mean, I think it's still early enough that we don't necessarily have to plot out where we're going to use guys. There's not a specific place where I say, oh, I got to save Cantlay for here down the road. So yeah, I like him this week. I'm going to take him.
Patrick, you and producer Josh are splitting your entry and going with Colin Morikawa, who I really like this week.
Yeah, admittedly, I tried to use Tommy Fleetwood for about the 4th time this year. That's obviously not a winning strategy when you're trying to win things. So we settled on Colin Morikawa, new caddy on the bag, kind of like a new coach on the bench of a hockey team. Hopefully he gives them a good rah-rah speech in the locker room, and he can get across the finish line.
I think it's a great pick, and one that I would have made had I not used all my superstars before this point in trying to catch up to Sia, it has not gone well. So therefore, I'm going with Daniel Berger, who I know Sobel likes as well. And hopefully I can get a top 10 and just try to get out of the cellar eventually. It's not looking so good for me. But I'll go with Berger here as my OAD to try to, I don't know, maybe get within an eighth of Sia, something like that. I don't know. It's pretty bad right now. I guess all of our favorite times of the show is when the recap screen comes up and we get Sobel story time. So this week, not only can we have the Truist or Wells Fargo, whatever you want to give us, we have Myrtle Beach. What do you got for us, Sobel?
A lot of bets on the board there. I love that. All right, I'm going to go back to Philly, though. By the way, I'm getting no credit for wearing my Cricket Club shirt. It's getting blocked by the graphics. So I just wanted credit that, I wore a Cricket Club shirt. I don't know. I don't know what I get credit for. Otherwise, behind me, maybe I can move this way. You can see the caddy bib back there. That was the last time we were in Philadelphia for the PGA Tour, 2018 BMW Championship. On Saturday afternoon, I was hanging out with my guy, Brendan Steele, after he finished, and he used to play on the PGA Tour, by the way. He doesn't anymore. He was talking with his caddy, Christian Donald, Luke's brother, and Christian had not been back home to London in 2 months or something like that, has a young family back there, and they were looking at Sunday probably being washed out. And Steele could not advance to the next round of the playoffs. He was towards the bottom of the leaderboard. He said, go home. Don't book a new flight. Don't do anything. Just go home. I'll find someone else. If it goes to Monday, I'll find a caddy. And he turned and he looked at me. He goes, Sobes, want a caddy Monday? I'm like, yeah, whatever. Sure. Why not? And so that's how it happens. Sunday did indeed get rained out. It poured the entire day. So we're going out Monday in the slop off the 10th tee in a group with Brian Harmon and Phil Mickelson. For someone who's never caddied. I mean, I didn't caddy growing up. I caddied once on the nationwide tour for 2 rounds in Chattanooga. We missed the cut that week. Caddying in a PGA Tour playoff event was a little bit of a stretch, but that said, we had no fans out there watching us. There was no pressure. At one point, he called me in for a read on a putt. It was breaking 6 feet right to left. I go, looks like it's going left. And I kept talking to Phil. That was about the extent of the work that I did that day. I think I raked one bunker that we were in. Other than that, we just had a good time. Phil kept asking me for good stories. And I'm like, most of my good stories involve you, so I can't really give them up. But he wanted Sobel story time as well. We had a good time that day. And at the end, they asked for the bib back. And I go, hell no, you're not getting this thing. I'm keeping it. And so the bib now hangs on the wall behind me.
That is pretty awesome to be able to caddy on a big, at a big PGA Tour event. Patrick, have you ever caddied on any of these circuits?
Nope.
Wow. Sobel, you have that over all of us. That is really cool. And that is this week's Sobel story time. Sia, why don't you tease tomorrow morning? What's coming up?
Well, yeah, tomorrow we've already hit a couple of early edge picks, by the way, including a home run for Kyle Schwarber, apparently. So having a good day so far. But, of course, early edge at 10 o'clock, 10:30 is the live chat. I think it's me and Rick tomorrow sometimes. Oh, it's me and you, Jason? My fault. Me and sometimes Mike McClure comes in on that. We'll see about that. But we literally are just there answering all your questions. If you have a DFS question or a lineup question or a betting question, OAD, or just a general golf question, we're literally just chilling there to answer it for, usually 45 minutes or more. So make sure you jump in there at 10:30 every single Wednesday morning.
And make sure tomorrow that Sobel gives out some of his Wednesday scratch off parlays where we can all win big. So Sobel, make sure to throw that in. Guys, another great show. Next week's a big one with the PGA Championship. Patrick, go to Myrtle Beach, even though I know you won't. For Sia Nejad, Jason Sobel, and Patrick McDonald, I am Eric Cohen. Thanks for watching. And as always, let's hit it big. Good luck.